Because of his hand surgery, the stock price for Pornhub crashed. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. Mandate to get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bryan. I'm going to throw my fetus at you. He was born with a 6-gun in his hand. Did you guys catch that on Badco? Yeah. He was born with a 6-gun in his hand. Now, did the pediatrician put it in his hand after he was born, or did he come out of the womb?
The clarification, yes, he came out shooting.
Like one of those Yosemite Sam mud flaps.
Rootin' tootin'.
Are probably fallen out of favor in today's climate.
Haven't seen a lot of those.
Crazy Irish miner holding 2 guns, yelling, back off.
I like the Yosemite Sam would get so excited he'd shoot the ground and shoot himself into a circle in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, or sometimes shoot out the floor around him and then fall down.
And fall through it,
that way. But I grew up looking at actually mud flaps was fully 17% of my entertainment as a child. It was Yosemite Sam holding the 6-shooters. There was later on the silhouette of the chrome bosomy woman.
The hot chick.
Ooh. They started to get clever with like instructions to the drivers behind him. Like to the right it said dead, and to the left it said ahead.
Oh, really?
You haven't seen these?
I haven't seen that one.
Basically, don't pass on the right. They get very... Dawson, you must have seen these.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with the ones that just said back off.
Yeah. They'd say, pass it to the left. If you go on your right, you're on your own.
Wow.
I just like the idea that a mud flap was considered like viable space to send a message back in the day. Now they're kind of boring. It just shows the silhouette of the 3 brothers who own the trucking
Manny,
company.
Mo, and Jack.
Yeah.
Now we have truck nuts.
Not exciting. So, excited to talk to Kevin LaRosa, who did all the aerial coordinating.
Freaking out.
Because that was really the star of Top Gun.
He's the star of the movie.
The crazy aerial coordination that was going on and flying just feet away from cliffs and through bridges and all that. So we'll talk to him about that.
It's like Tron, but real.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so we'll talk to him about that. And also I have some updates on Cruise and what he owns. From,
aerial-wise. Huh?
He does own that Mustang, which is called Kiss Me Kate for his first wife.
First wife?
Second wife?
Wait, are we talking?
Third wife. Second wife.
Dawson's Creek, Katie Holmes?
Katie Holmes?
Katie Holmes must be second.
Could
be third.
Well, there was Mimi Rogers, Nicole Kidman.
Right.
Was Penelope Cruz getting mixed up in that?
I don't know, but we'll
maybe we'll ask Kevin.
But evidently it's named after her.
That's
which is like
nice.
if you're gonna buy, God, I don't know, what's a P-51 Mustang, Ben,
Like
or
vintage
Emmy?
from not like restored, but you're saying like
Well, they're all so.
I'm sure they're all restored to some degree.
They're all restored, or they got crushed. So after, we got from World War II into the jet age in like 4 years, and so most of the propeller stuff, a lot of it, I think, carried over into like Korea, because World War II ended in like 46, and then Korea was like 50 into 51, and so they probably, and then by the time we got to Vietnam, there were no more. I mean, they had scout planes and stuff, but they didn't have fighter planes that were propeller driven because they could only get so much speed out of those. And then the Viet Cong, they had the MiGs that were supplied by the Ruskies, and so then it was us, aerial combat stuff. But anyway. I don't know what so they would end up crushing a lot of those airplanes, and but some survived, and they made it into the Reno air races, and people own them privately. But I gotta believe a P-51 Mustang is worth several $1 million now, quite easily. And then actually, it just reminded me that. God, I'll
do we know how many? While you're thinking of that, do we know how many survive? Like how many original P-51 Mustangs there are? Is there 100? Is there 12?
I don't know. Like I said, some of them got converted. We can look it up. There's probably not too many 2-seat trainers like Cruise has. And then Chris Morgan from Fast and Furious fame, his dad's a school teacher who's been working on restoring a P-51 Mustang for the last 30 years in like a backyard in La Cañada.
A real quick Google
Yes.
search says there are 150 airworthy ones left in all of the world.
Yeah, we routinely crush things like the Memphis Belle and even planes like that. We're
It's
like,
history.
It's no good anymore. Get rid of it. That's how we were going to crush it. And then, city of Memphis bought it and then they restored it and, raised private funds.
It makes sense. I didn't realize that was the practice until I saw the movie Black Hawk Down when the Black Hawk helicopter the titular Black Hawk was down.
Yes.
And as the soldiers were leaving, toss a couple grenades.
Yeah.
Blow the
Gotta move
goddamn
on.
thing up.
I don't care about a museum right now.
Yeah, well, that was, we don't want it to fall into the hands of the enemy.
Sure,
this
sure.
is like, we're done. That
Yeah.
we only got so much real estate we can store these things. They put them out in the middle of the desert in Arizona where it's all dry and there's just the graveyard.
Yeah.
Who wants these ruby slippers? They're taking up room in my back seat.
Actually, there were many a movie that shot a scene in the graveyard of the airplanes. You
Okay.
got to think about it. From a cinematography standpoint, it's a beautiful place.
Oh, yeah.
to
Where is
shoot.
it?
I think the Arizona, New Mexico,
Just type in the middle of the goddamn desert.
whoever's got
there's
some
a
nice
Mojave,
desert
yeah.
and low real estate prices, that's where they stored them. And then I think in the famously, in one of the best films, but least talked about,
Please.
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro
Marlboro
Man. They had a whole shootout scene in one of those storage desert facilities.
I'm sorry. I assumed you were going to talk about Can't Buy Me Love, where they go to the airplane graveyard on their date.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she tells him a poem about the broken moon.
Missed
I mean,
that.
I don't know.
All right, so we'll talk to Kevin about what it was like to work with all the actors and have them all up. And again, Cruise insisted, I think everyone insisted that the actors get up into the airplanes because it's hard to simulate G-forces. But Bryan's got a Baldywood for Top Gun Maverick, by the way, that we've all seen it. So
I feel
we can all
very invested in
jump
this.
in on
Baldywood.
it.
First time in a long time we've done a Baldywood movie all three of us have seen.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready to go?
Hooray for Baldywood! He will tell you if a movie's good. Bryan will review the flicks that he's seen up on the big screen or in his Netflix queue. Before you spend bucks, remember his taste sucks. He loved that train wreck piece of shit Transformers 2. Hooray for Baldywood!
Top Gun Maverick is finally in theaters now. You can see in theaters now. It is a 2022 film directed by, I should make this a little bigger, Joseph Kosinski. He is the director of Oblivion. You guys see Oblivion, the Tom Cruise movie from 8-ish years ago?
Were they changed the name or that was another
That
one?
was Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's Oblivion. He is marooned on a planet, and it turns out that he's not the only one.
What?
Yeah, I know, shocking, right? That has to be a movie. Starring, of course, Tom Cruise, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, looking brand new.
Yeah.
Oh my God, not a flaw on that one.
Vision.
She's been restored like the Mona Lisa. John Hamm, Ed Harris, Val Kilmer, and many others make appearances in this movie. This is sitting at 97% amongst the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. 99
Yeah!
amongst the people.
Come on,
When's the
people,
last
edge it
time-
up.
When's the last time you saw a movie that wasn't like well, this movie is pandering to its fans, but you know what I mean, like a Dinesh D'Souza or like a very liberal, an Al Gore, type of documentary
With no
Aside
agenda
from-
behind it.
Here's what I'm saying. Aside like a crowd-pleasing tentpole movie, it's 99%.
You never
It's
see
good.
it. Yeah.
Very rare. Paramount supposedly negotiating a shorter theatrical window because they obviously people want to see this movie and they want to get it on their streaming platforms.
No, go see it in the theater.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. There's a theatrical experience, and,
Yeah.
and that's that leads into my next.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
In
please.
fact, my mom saw it with all her Yenta girlfriends, loved it, and even told me, beat me to it, we're going this weekend in IMAX. because
Oh,
they
yeah.
loved it so much. So please
Premium-
don't pull it out of theaters.
Premium format.
Yeah.
Just look at that. Okay, so ladies and men, my next little factoid, which is the first weekend, $156 million just in the U.S. It made a little
Nice.
more worldwide. The biggest Memorial Day opening ever, breaking the record for Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
Wow.
And already as of today, the fifth highest grossing movie of the year.
Wow.
And that includes like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, all the big movies that came out. And the story that sort of emerging is it's getting a certain generation back to the theaters. Marvel
I buy
movies
that.
are doing a great job
Yep.
of getting the kids and the 20-somethings back to the theaters. They're going to go anyway. When's the last time, Gina and Adam, you guys went to? I didn't go to the movies semi-frequently with Sonny, but when's the time you guys went to a movie theater?
I can't remember.
I go semi-frequently, but I had not seen people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s in the theater for a while, and I did with Top Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the last time you went, Gina. If you even remember.
I can't. It was probably a kid's movie to keep the
yeah.
little one quiet for 2 hours.
So this has had Top Gun Maverick has had release dates of July 2019, and then June 2020, December 2020, July 2021, November 2021, and finally in theaters now in May of 2022. Of course, it was in development for like more than 10 years with Tony Scott, of course, attached to direct. He directed the original in 1986, and of course, we all know what happened to him, passed away.
I think
Killed himself.
from what I remember, they dedicated the movie to him at the end.
Did he
Yeah.
jump off a bridge that
Like
was
in Long
going
Beach,
in
San
Long
Pedro or
Beach?
something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sad. Okay, sorry.
So I should we even bother recapping the plot? It's a video game movie. There is an impossible target to reach in some foreign land, which I believe is never named.
No, they do not name it.
Name the Savvy. They got to make money in all the
Yep.
territories. There is a impossible to hit. Think the trench run at the end of Star Wars, where they're trying to blow up the Death Star. They gotta hit this target the size of this table.
Right.
Only humans can do it. Drones cannot accomplish this mission for some reason. So they send. They're like, we have these great pilots, these Top Gun pilots, but who's going to train them? We need the best of the best. And Tom Cruise as Pete Maverick Mitchell, he's sidelined, right? They make
He
the
lives
mention,
in an airplane
They
hangar.
make the mention earlier that like early in the movie, like you should be an admiral two
Yeah.
times over by now, but you're just a flying experimental aircraft and whatever. And he's like, that makes me happy.
It's got that cop who wants to stay on the beat. He doesn't want to be a desk jockey.
Right.
He doesn't want to have to.
Doesn't want the
he wants
promotion.
You
to
should be
get
running
out
a
there.
precinct by now.
Right. Yeah.
And Maverick Mitchell's like, no, I'm doing just fine. I'm not a teacher. They convince him. They order him to come back and train the younger recruits. We alluded to it yesterday.
Well, I always look at things through a mechanical lens,
Please.
which is whenever they're working, and Tom is always wrenching on that P-51 Mustang he has in his bedroom, I guess, because he lives in a hangar. The most satisfying, first off, they always want the ratchet.
It looks
It makes
good.
noise.
Yeah.
They always want to put the extension on
You
it.
can flex your
and
forearms.
the
Yeah.
best thing to do is a spark plug. It's always the best. It has the long extension. It has the deep it has the deep socket, and
Right
you
on.
use the ratchet, and it's always that. And then you can pull it out, and you can examine it.
Oh, that's
You can
perfect.
sniff it.
Blow
you can
on it.
Blow
Sniff
on
it.
it. You can take a look for carbon, see
Yeah.
if it's running lean or running rich. Like it. That is the go-to. He worked on the plane 2 times. Each time he was working on changing the spark plugs.
So there's, we alluded to it yesterday. I was initially confused. Was Miles Teller supposed to be Goose's son? I couldn't tell. He was wearing the same Hawaiian shirt. He was wearing the
Same
same
mustache.
mustache. He played the same song
same
on
hit.
the same piano. But apparently, the filmmakers are trying to subtly signal to the audience that, this is a callback to another
They're-
beloved character.
They're both named after Fowl.
But he's named Rooster.
That's right. Yeah. Well, look, I think this movie, we all appreciate the subtleties of life, like I like nachos with cheese on them, maybe jalapeno, but I don't like when they just dump the kitchen sink
Yeah, the
onto the
7-layer dip.
nachos. It's too much. So we enjoy the subtlety of life, but when it's sort of on the nose, like this movie was on the nose, when
Hit the target.
when it's executed, it's also satisfying in its own way.
I'm really glad you said that because I was initially wrestling with this movie has so much great stuff, and there's great stuff in this movie. Some stuff I've never seen before, which is rare, but also has some very dumb stuff. And I'm like, why is there so much dumb stuff? And I'm really thinking about it. I'm like, I think they did it intentionally. I think this is a throwback movie to like the era of, sorry, Adam, Cobra and Top Gun and these absurd, over-the-top, hit you on the head with a hammer movies. I think this is an intentional throwback to that spirit while still being a very good movie.
And I think because you mentioned this, I think a week ago, I think what you're referring to is the dialogue.
Dialogue is pretty
very
ridiculous.
simple, but
Sure.
it works.
Expository.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something to the, Pringles part of life, which is...
Do tell.
Well, you didn't get it from the little store in Napa. It's
right.
Pringles, but it's satisfying.
Yes. There
It's
you go.
what it is.
Yes.
And
So
when
she's-
done right,
Nothing better.
Nothing better.
On the Film Vault, we talk about cheeseburger movies. Sometimes I just want a juicy, delicious cheeseburger, and it goes down smooth. It's delicious. I could have used a Meg Ryan cameo. I don't know why she wasn't involved. She's alluded to several times.
Well, remember? There's a reason she wasn't in the universe of Top Gun there.
Oh, why? Did
Did she kill herself?
No, I was trying to be subtle.
She
No.
died of a broken heart.
Basically, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you miss that?
I missed that. I was too busy
don't-
trying to work out the goose rooster thing.
I don't know if Meg has had a little too much work done recently and just
Possible.
wouldn't work in this capacity.
Doesn't have the cutesy girl vibe everyone's...
Well, not only that, but the look of a widow from a pilot would not look like one who's seen a Beverly Hills
Sure.
plastic surgeon too many times.
Sure,
She
sure.
would look very different.
Well, and to your point, like Jennifer Connelly looked like the picture perfect,
God.
everything. But-
Untouched by nature.
right, but like not overdone in any way, just a natural vision.
Right, and she wasn't in the first
No,
one,
no.
so we didn't have
No,
any A or B for
She
her.
wasn't. Her character was alluded to.
Yeah.
I did a little background because I'm like, who is she? Like, she is the admiral's or someone's daughter. They like Penny, whatever her name
Yeah.
is. They allude to taking out the admiral's daughter or something.
Well,
Anyhow.
Oh, interesting. From the original when they
Yeah, yeah.
talk. Oh,
They
that's
make
Penny.
brief mention and they come back to her.
I like it.
Speaking of having work done, did you guys notice? I swear to God, it bumped me in one scene. There's a scene where Tom Cruise is shirtless in bed. I swear he had like CGI, like face smoothing. Did that jump out at either one of you?
No, but I get what you're saying, and I don't know. I mean, the man seems to be ageless. I mean, shirt off at the beach, playing two-way football or
Have you ever
offense,
heard of that?
defense football.
Is
no,
that a thing?
but I was happy because I was watching it. And I was like, wait a minute, why are both teams on offense? And then I'm like, ugh, Hollywood. They can never get even the simplest things that have to do with sports.
Yeah.
But then later on, he explained it, and I thought it was a good explanation.
Yeah.
Being on offense and defense is what you would be in the air.
Right.
Yeah, well put. So I'll be interested to ask our guest, Kevin, when he comes on. I have a friend of a friend who was on set for this movie and explained that the actors, there's a lot of footage of the actors in the cockpit, right? Like actually fly, in the plane flying. Apparently they were allowed in the cockpit, but they weren't allowed to touch anything.
Smart.
So
Good.
I'll be very interested to see who was in there with them, how it was all working. Ultimately, I think, Adam, you might agree with me. This is like the best Michael Bay movie ever. This is like the best iteration of what a Michael Bay movie could and should be. It's very, very good. Like Gina and Adam, and apparently Gina's mom, repeat viewing. See it in a premium format. At the very least, just go to the theater and see it in that grand scope, that grand scale. It's
If
a
you
fun
don't-
throwback movie.
Yes, and if you don't see it in the theater, you're going to miss Tom Cruise welcoming you at the top of the
That's
movie
right.
and
Yes.
telling you we put way too much work into this, basically, for you to not believe this is real. We got real flyers, real planes. Enjoy the movie. It was
It's
very
just
fun.
one of the few movies that the consensus with almost everyone is, oh, we're seeing that again.
Oh yeah, the second the credits start, Brian, I have to ask you.
Please.
Oh motherfucker.
Well, let's play the outro. You think of it.
Okay.
Hooray for Baldywood!
What did you want to ask?
Okay, this is a perfect question for you because I am not the target audience. In a lot of those scenes, and I kind of want to know if Kevin got this vibe. In a lot of those scenes, was it very Star Wars reminiscent? The way they were going through canyons and fighting each other.
The end of the climactic run is essentially the trench run from Star Wars.
Do you think they were aware of that?
It'd be impossible not to be.
Got it.
But it's actually, like Adam said, it's executed well. So it's
amazing.
like what we talked about with Edge of Tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a mix of like 4 or 5 different movies, but those are 4 or 5 really good movies,
Right.
and the movies executed well. So enjoy.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
we'll
great.
talk to aerial coordinator Kevin LaRosa in just a second. He's here. So first, let me hit J.B. Weld, world's strongest bond brands that, DIYers and pros trust both for over 50 years. You can use their epoxies, their super glues, putty sticks, big and small projects on practically any surface, metal, wood, plastic, glass, ceramics. Keep it in your kitchen drawer, your toolbox, craft supplies, down the garage. I use this stuff all the time. Do not throw things away, people. Fix them with J.B. Weld. Let's not be an ugly American. Also, they're the proud owner of Herculiner, the original DIY truck bed liner. So if you're looking for the world's strongest truck bed liner, Herculiner, well, they've got you covered. So if you want to get some J.B. Weld, might I suggest jbweld.com, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, AutoZone, Advance Auto Parts, O'Reilly, Amazon, Michaels, and more. And remember, J.B. Weld is all proudly made in the U.S. of A. Well, you've got questions about how this movie was made. We'll talk to Kevin LaRosa, aerial coordinator for Top Gun Maverick, right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Crockett, Texas. A 49-year-old woman was charged with the sale or purchase of a child after offering $250,000 to buy the child of the woman in front of her in line at the Walmart self-checkout. Definitely not a Jew.
Well, we got Kevin LaRosa in studio. He was originally hired to be a camera pilot, but then was promoted to aerial coordinator for the movie everyone is talking about. And the star of the movie is really the airplanes and all the work that you did. So congratulations.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.
You could be a cruise stunt double with the build and the stature and the age and the look. Does that factor in?
It could be a thing if he used stunt doubles.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. Damn him.
It's like, you could be a Tom Brady stunt double. It's like he plays every quarter. Yeah, that's right. He doesn't use them.
All his own flying, all his own stunts.
So where did you guys film this? I have a million questions. Mostly.
Top Gun Maverick was filmed all over the West Coast, all over the Navy bases, which was really fun. And some really beautiful Navy bases, by the way. Whidbey Island in the upper Northwest, that place is stunning. And of course, Miramar.
Right.
San Diego, it's kind of the love story to Top Gun. But all the other bases, and the new Top Gun location, which is in Fallon, Nevada. I was actually there this morning. And then a couple of locations that weren't military bases, South Lake Tahoe, which played for the final scene.
So you have to coordinate, obviously, with the military because you have to use all their aircraft or a lot of their aircraft. And so how does that work? Is it, we all heard it was, huge recruiting for the military after the first one, but obviously these jets cost millions of dollars an hour to keep in the air. Does the production pay the military? Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
They don't lend them the planes for free advertising.
Nope. Everything was paid for. And it was extremely expensive, as you can imagine. And to answer your question, so as the aerial coordinator, I was a civilian side, but I had a naval counterpart, Bryan Ferguson, call sign Ferg. And it was our job every day to make sure we were arranging the logistics. We had the right airplanes in the right places, and every time we had an F-18, there is an amazing amount of ground support. There's like 6 or 7 people that come with those aircraft, maintainers, schedulers, people that support these things. So a huge undertaking.
I got to imagine the cost is neither here nor there for the production, just the permission to use the planes. You'll pay whatever it costs after that.
Well, it's interesting, Brian, if you think of that first movie, and Adam said it, the first movie I think was the single biggest recruiting effort for the United States Navy. So I think when the Navy looked at this next movie being made, they were kind of like, okay, this can be a big deal. We need to get in on this. So yes, it was a big deal to schedule assets, but I will say that the Navy was very helpful. I think there's benefit for everybody.
So Cruise, I was just watching a bit with him and James Corden where he took him up in the Mustang and then he took him up in a jet, which is sort of maybe a trainer type jet, but you would know better than I. Tandem seater. He has the tandem Mustang. I don't know how many of those exist. He told me not very many because they didn't make too many trainers and they crushed a lot of them. Was that his personal airplane that was being used in the movie?
That is absolutely Tom's personal Mustang. It's a beautiful airplane.
You have any idea what the street value or the air value of one of those are?
Nice. I think Mustangs are going for between 2.5 and 3.5 million these days. They've gone up in value quite a bit.
I'm quite surprised it's not a lot higher.
Yeah, there's not too many of them on the planet. And he has, like I said, one of the few sort of twin seats. So I guess he's rated to fly that plane now.
Absolutely. He's actually rated in a lot of aircraft. He's pretty impressive as an aviator. But he'd fly that Mustang to set on a daily basis. When
fly
we're working.
To set?
Yep, absolutely. That airplane be flown to set, and it was used in the movie, obviously, too. So
he'd leave Van Nuys, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Or
Burbank. And he would fly to set in maybe Nevada or Miramar, San Diego or something like that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Because obviously it's one thing to fly the plane, but you got to navigate as well.
Well, again, he's an aviator in the truest sense. And that's no easy airplane to fly. We're talking a World War II fighter. It's got the Rolls-Royce Merlin in it. I mean, that's an incredible airplane, and he flies it with great skill. And that James Corden bit was quite funny, honestly. I filmed all the air-to-air photography for that.
Oh, you did?
I did. And you mentioned the jet that was after the Mustang. That's called an L-39. It's a Czechoslovakian little-built fighter trainer. They're imported into the U.S. They're readily available, but they're really fun. They're very maneuverable. The jet that I created for Top Gun Maverick, we call it the Cinejet, is actually based on an L-39. So we shot him and James Corden in that L-39 with the Cinejet, and that's why those images looked so cool.
Is it true that a lot of guys, you can't buy an F-18 from the American government, but you could buy a MiG from the Soviet government because they're a little faster and looser. Like, hey, I need a couple of MiGs and a dirty bomb. What do you got? So that's kind of how they roll. So what people would do, I think, Kevin will tell us, they'd buy MiGs, bring them over here, and then put like a GE engine in it, like a more reliable, updated, American-built whatever, and then use the MiG to go buzz. So now you could actually own a military-grade aircraft with a more modern, safer engine in it and maybe race it at Reno. I don't know.
No, you're kind of correct. I mean, a lot of the MiGs, though, do have the original motors.
Oh, they do.
A lot of the L-39s nowadays are switching to American-made motors just for reliability and easier to get parts.
So you said you made a plane?
So I'm rare that I was one of the jet-based air-to-air guys over the years. I'd been doing aerial photography with jets for about 10 or 11 years, and I knew the technology didn't exist for what was going to be needed on Top Gun Maverick. And I worked on another movie with Tom, and he said, Kev, everything's going to be real. Everything has to be next level realistic and real, and we got to figure out a way to shoot it. And my gears were turning for years, and it wasn't until early 2016 where I was looking at all these different jets that were available in the U.S., and I came across the L-39, and I thought, man, this might be it. This thing's maneuverable. It's cool looking. It's sleek. We can stick this camera gimbal way out on the front of this thing. And that's what we used. So I created what's called the Cinejet. We took an L-39 and we put a shot-over gimbal. A shot-over is like the latest and greatest camera gimbal, stuck it way out on the nose, and it turned into this really cool platform so I can get into canyons, I could maneuver, and no matter what I did to that aircraft, that camera gimbal was locked on and steady, and it let the camera operator sitting in the ejection seat behind me really frame cool shots and make what we see on screen today. And I think that's why people are seeing this stuff and going, man, I've never seen anything like that. It looks awesome.
Two questions real quick. One,
Yeah.
I saw a behind the scenes featurette. I think it was with the Is it painted black with
It
big
is.
Cinejet on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
It looked pretty badass. And number two, are you sensing, just from what you do and people contacting you, are you sensing more of a shift towards the practical, maybe? Are you getting a few more phone calls these days?
I love that question. And it's
Thank
not,
you.
It's not only the fact that that question's actually realistic, it's already happened. There's another movie coming after Top Gun called Devotion. That's Black Label Media and Sony. And when we got the call to do that movie, they said, hey, we want the Top Gun team. We want full realistic stunts just like in Top Gun. And that wouldn't have happened had we done what we did on Top Gun Maverick. So this next movie that comes out in October, I think it is, with Glenn Powell, by the way.
Oh, nice. He was good.
He's amazing.
Hangman.
Another big aerial movie and all real airplanes. But this time, and Adam, you'll like this, it was all Corsairs and Korean War. It's a Korean War era movie. So we had Corsairs and Sky Raiders, so big radial powered. And we had a MiG. We had a MiG-15. So fun stuff. But yes, that's happening.
Radial
Excellent.
is the configuration of the engine.
I know.
Versus the one of the things that made the P-51 Mustang fast is they went with a straight, well, not a straight, but a V12, but a straight configuration like your car, versus the big, where all the cylinders were in front and they were air cooled, the big fat, you see the old airplanes and the nose is like so big,
Right.
and you see the front of the P-51 Mustang, it looks like a shark. It comes to a point because of the configuration of the engine. But anyway, just wanted to get the verbiage straight. So what you're saying with the airplane is kind of like in when you're filming cars, like when they filmed the Le Mans, Steve McQueen, they had to take, I think, a Ford GT race car, GT40, and like cut the roof off it and make it a camera car because the camera cars aren't fast enough
Right.
to keep up
Can't
with
keep
the
up, yeah.
race cars. And you'll see it now when they're doing sort of high performance car stuff. Somebody figured out we got to get a Porsche and we got to put a jib on it. We can't just have a F-150 truck and put a jib on it. We can't keep up with the pace of the action, or everything would have to slow down and it would look bad. But you were able to keep the pace up with your camera jet.
Absolutely. I mean, we couldn't pace F-18s, are very fast. But the thing is a lot of times what we want to sell is speed and energy. And here's an interesting point. If I'm flying a camera platform that can do Mach 1 next to another aircraft doing Mach 1, it's just sitting there in the lens. It doesn't have any sense of speed
Right.
unless you're low or going by clouds. So you want speed differential. So yeah, our Cinejet, we rated it to 350 knots in 3G, and the F-18s are much faster than that. When we needed to be in formation to film the actors or a story point, we did it. When we needed to show speed, which is all throughout the movie, we would have those things rip past us. And that's what makes that really dynamic shot.
What a lot of those shots where you're just carving through the canyon, so close to the canyon wall, what are the opportunities to eject? Doesn't seem like if you clipped a wing on a rock, it just doesn't seem like there'd be a great opportunity to eject out of that aircraft.
I got to agree with you. I think if you hit terrain, it's probably a really bad thing. You're probably not going to have time to get out of the airplane. Ejection seats are great for engine failures, bird strikes, time when you can climb, get some altitude, and punch out.
You saw what happened to Goose.
Yeah, come on.
Well, he was at altitude, but yeah.
So pretty wild. I mean, we brief stuff like that. We talk about it. We always have this thing. We call it crawl, walk, run. And we go into these canyons. First, we scout them with helicopters. We bring the Navy pilots in there. We pick our routing. And then we get in there and we'll say, okay, we're going to do 200 knots and 500 feet. And we just bring it lower, lower, lower until we get to the point where we want to be. And typically that point is really in there and really fast. And that's when we're watching playback going, oh my God, this is wild. But it's by the time we get to that point, we got everything memorized. We know where the rocks are, the trees are, every turn, every timing. We call it excellence in repetition, right? We do it so many times, we know where everything is, and that's how we want to operate.
Does the Navy have a say? Do they go too close to the deck, too close to the canyon? These are $1 million aircrafts. It takes millions of dollars to train these pilots. Like, we're not going to put them in this environment.
Absolutely, they have a say. And I mean, those are taxpayer aircraft, and the Navy representatives that were working with us are extremely smart. They know what they're doing. But again, everything was very calculated risk. Everything was a high training environment to get to the point where we wanted to film. So we never really compromised safety, but we definitely took it right to the limit that we could for the movie to get those incredible shots. But
How did they do the carrier launch with crews that everyone
That's crews launching off carrier.
Yeah, I know.
So-
I mean, what carrier is it? Where was it? Were they running exercises that day and fit him in, or did they just stop down and say Tom Cruise is on deck and we're putting him in an F-18?
I feel like every time we worked the carrier, we always worked into the exercises.
Oh, wow.
Because there was a lot going on, but we did want a lot going on. I mean, you want to see a busy background, and I think you can see that in the movie. So that's Tom sitting in the back of an F-18F model, absolutely getting launched off the USS Theodore Roosevelt. But, a huge testament to him and the accuracy and a lot of the naval advisors and stuff. When we watch that, it looks real. And let me put it this way. Me sitting in the back of an F-18, and when you get launched in an F-18, I'm not a naval aviator, but just experiencing and being around him, where he puts his hands, there should be a handle up in the front seat right here. They call it the towel rack. That's not in the back seat. But that's Tom absolutely going, this is exactly where my hand would be. And this is exactly where I'd be looking. This is exactly how I'd salute. I mean, to the T, just perfect. And I love that. So much accuracy.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, and hopefully you have all the answers about the civilian, just another audition, actors being put in these planes, and just psychologically, and because we can all sort of, put ourselves in that position. We, if you're just an actor and, this is just another role, what am I supposed to do? So can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Well, a big testament to Tom being an aviator and an actor performer. He kind of knew what these folks would have to deal with once they got in these aircraft, especially because he did the first movie in 1986. So he built and put together this training curriculum, if you will, and I got to administer it with to the actors, actually with the help of my father, which was really fun.
Oh, wow.
And we knew that we had to build them essentially into aviators. Some of them actually got their licenses from it. But we started them in Cessna 172s, and that gave them their spatial awareness, how to talk on the radio, how to take off, land, and turn. And once we could get them to the point where they wouldn't get sick or feel weird in a 172, we graduate them. We put them into an extra 300. And we see those aircraft at air shows, doing these acrobatics, and they got smoke systems. That's the aircraft I'm talking about. Those can pull like 8 Gs, and that's really heavy duty.
Is that a biplane? Or
The
more
extra
the Red
300
Bull?
is a single. It's very similar
Bull
to the Red
style.
Bull. Yeah, you got it.
Who puked? Who had a panic attack? Did these things happen?
Man.
Everybody, I imagine.
Well, this is something wild I think most people don't get to ever do in their lives. So it's something we're not used to. We definitely had star players. I always mention Monica was just accelerated right through it. I was very, very impressed with her. We had folks that definitely got sick and queasy, but it's kind of like a muscle memory. You kind of build up to it, and that was the purpose of it. So by the end of the extra 300, we graduated them into the L-39. We just talked about that airplane. And that was their first jet experience pulling Gs. So we got them to a point where they could go out in these aircraft and go pull an amazing amount of Gs and go rip around low level, and they just felt great, and they'd come back and they'd be smiling. And it took a long time to do that and a lot of money, thanks to Paramount and Tom for making that happen. By the time they got into the F-18s, they would go out on these missions and they'd come back and they'd be able to focus on their performance and not worry about being an F-18. Because if they took any of us who'd never been in an F-18, how in the world would we be able to act, right? We would just be back there, eyes huge, getting sick. So that's a huge testament to the training program, and I think that's why their performance looks so amazing on the big screen.
The carrier deck is such a majestic environment to film in, and one of them that I always think about is the thing that launches the plane is a steam cannon, and it's still run off of steam in 2022,
Really?
I guess. Yeah. And that's why you always get that big plume that comes like it launches, and then you see that big plume of its steam coming off the thing, but it's like slow motion, and there's some guy pointing, and the steam is going by, and you'd think that was added with a smoke pod or something, but it's so dramatic.
It's so cinematic too.
Yes.
And they shoot it in the backlight and the golden light. And I love how they started the movie. I know you guys have seen the movie, but it's what a perfect throwback.
It set you up for a really fun experience.
Did they, when they launched Tom off the carrier, did the guy just do a hot lap and come right back and land it? Or you think Tom was like, let's go around the park? Or
There was,
and also, we give him a lot of credit for taking off, but landing is probably a little hairier. Or maybe he didn't land on the carrier. Maybe he went and landed on.
They absolutely landed on the carrier.
Oh, they did?
And the thing is that they maximized everything. So those internal cameras are on. There was 6 IMAX quality cameras in there. They'd launch and they'd go run sequences. Most people don't understand. And
So as long as he was in the plane,
Use the time.
let's use the time and shoot something.
absolutely use it. Why not? Most people don't understand. I mean, there's so many performances delivered in cockpit. I mean, they're not sitting on stage anywhere. So imagine the time it takes and how many different flights and sorties it takes to get all that stuff. It's wild.
Yeah, you did get a visually how far it's come example when they went back and you could see the old 1986-87 version where he went inverted and sort of flew over it looks like they're on a sound stage. It looks like what it is. Looks like they mocked something
best they could
up
do at
and
the time.
yeah, that was state of the art at the time, but not satisfying after seeing what you've just seen.
Absolutely.
I find it very hard to believe that wasn't just created on a computer software program. Please don't tell us that.
No, so we had these Top Gun Maverick rules, if you will, right? First off, everything had to be in cockpit, in aircraft. You keep hearing him say, you can't act the distortion in the face and all that. So that was a huge monumental task to just do all of that in aircraft. The other rule, which was more of my rule, was we could never shoot blank sky. The other movies we work on, sometimes Transformers and the Iron Mans and stuff like that, we go shoot what's called plates.
The classics.
Yeah, and we shoot these plate shots of just blank sky, and they add an Iron Man or a missile or something, but nothing's there.
Right.
And we kind of sense that. I mean, I always could, and I love now that people are seeing real aircraft on camera, and I think they're drawn to it. Back to your question of, is this going to become a bigger thing? I sure hope so. On Top Gun Maverick, the aerial rule was that there always had to be an aircraft in frame. And there's aircraft in this movie that are not readily available in the U.S., right?
Sure.
We can't mention real. I don't know if we can. But those aircraft there's always something behind the lens. So if it had to be an F-18, then CGI would go in and they would retexture it, make it a different airplane. But there's a real aircraft behind the lens, and that's why it looks realistic.
Oh, so like whoever you were flying a
Right.
sort of a stealthy kind of SR-71-esque
Fifth gen.
version of fifth gen. Those
I think they mentioned it once in the movie.
those were airplanes that had been breathed on, but there was still an actual airplane,
Real aircraft there.
with CGI. Yeah, I was trying to figure that one out.
Were you the bad guy with the black helmet?
No, those are an F-18. Those are F-18 drivers there. We just reskinned them.
The bad guys always have the smoked lens.
Yep. Can't see him.
Can't see their face. Got to be mysterious.
And so any good cruise stories? I mean, he strikes me as a guy I'd probably rather hang out with you than maybe some of the actors, even just because he's probably that much into flying and a little less probably into Hollywood.
I haven't met anybody that is so dedicated to his trade.
He was a producer on the film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's skin in the game.
Well, absolutely. But I mean, anything I've ever worked with him for, his life purpose is to entertain, like and to the extent I've never seen. He just wants perfection. So here's a cool story. Beginning of principal photography on Top Gun Maverick, we're at Naval Air Station Lemoore. We're getting ready to go. And Tom kind of brings crew together in a room. And it's a pretty important moment, getting the movie going here. And he gives us a bit of a speech, which was really cool. And he just said, guys, we're at a disadvantage here because we're making a sequel. And it took 30 years for us to tell a story worth being told. And it took 30 years for us to have technology to tell that story. And we have that now. And he said, we need to obtain a level of cinematic perfection that has never been seen before. And that resonated with the crew, especially me. I mean, that was hugely motivating for me, for what we had to do. So that was kind of a neat story. It set the bar, and we knew everything we had to do on this movie had to be perfect.
When we were watching, I think in one of the trailers was Mission Impossible, and you're talking about doing all this his own stunts, and then famously there was that motorcycle off the cliff stunt. I don't know if you were involved with that at all, but you probably have a perspective on it that's different than people listening. But they showed him just rode a motorcycle
It's an aerial stunt.
off a cliff and just ejected from the bike and parachuted down. And I remember there was a bunch of stuff on like TMZ, like he did this. But it's also kind of unbelievable that any studio would let him do it because at some point insurance kicks in. Right. I don't know if he just has enough juice to just override everything that would normally apply to any other actor in any other environment because insurance would just go, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
But I guess he's got enough juice to get over that. But that motorcycle jump, and maybe we can find footage of it. I don't know if he was probably hooked up to a harness or something, right? Have
the
you seen
parachute
that?
on.
That's just the parachute.
Yeah.
That was it.
I mean, I heard about it. I wasn't out there doing that with him, but I can't say I'm surprised.
You're not surprised.
No.
He would just go for it.
Well, and that's why I'm so glad at the beginning of the movie he comes on and says this is all real, because we're not used to that. So we wouldn't. It's you've kind of backed yourself into a corner because it's so good. You have to be reminded that it's real.
Yeah. Love that.
Did he? You're nice looking. Did he throw you a bone? Did he say,
Kevin Spacey style?
No, not Kevin Spacey style, but we need a background guy over here to show up with a clipboard and nod or something. And did we get you on camera?
No, there's no on camera for me in Top Gun Maverick. I do get to play on camera every once in a while for a lot of the aerial roles, but I was a behind the scenes guy on Top Gun Maverick, and it's kind of where it's a movie line here. It's kind of where I belonged, if you will.
I feel like you're probably a little busy to do a
There was a lot.
cameo.
There was a lot going on in that movie.
So with the Corden thing, was he flying your camera jet in that bit, or were you were flying your camera jet and he was flying what?
He was flying another L-39.
Oh, same equipment.
Yeah, but no camera system on
No
it. So he
camera
was flying
system.
a stock L-39, but I mean, hot ejection sheets, real maneuverable jet, James Corden in the back. And then I was in the Cinejet with an aerial DP. It was actually Michael Fitzmaurice filming from my jet.
And he was going inverted and doing whole 9 yards.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was doing loops and rolls and flying through terrain. I mean, that was all pretty high energy flying.
It was pretty crazy. Did you guys see this
I
bit?
haven't seen it.
Oh my God. Mike August sent it to me like, I don't know, a week ago. We can play you some of it. I mean, it's unfakeable.
Right.
He's flying this jet, and it's one thing, to take off and land, but he's getting inverted and doing barrel rolls and everything, and James is back there hanging on to his cookies. It was impressive, and you're flying next to him.
We're flying next to him. I mean, James held up a sign at one point, which was at our jet, and I was just dying. I was laughing so hard in my aircraft. But what did it say? It was like, help me or something like that.
Yeah,
and
it was
there
a
was
real
second I asked
Wile E. Coyote moment.
They didn't tell me they were going to do
Umbrella
that. I was like, do we need to do anything? Is this part of the
Oh,
deal?
they didn't. Yeah, you weren't coached on the joke.
We were cracking up, though.
Yeah, I mean, you filmed it so that you could see clearly that was Cruz
Oh, I got to see
operating the plane and James in the back. Like you got close enough. I don't know how physically close you get.
We get tight. I mean, we get within about 10 feet of the other aircraft at times. Yep.
It is always amazing, especially when you watch the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds or whoever, how actually close their wings are to touching the other plane's wings. Just doesn't, they're good pilots, but it also feels like there's a lot of other shit going on in the air.
Wind?
Yes. We'll show you a couple minutes of it. So he gets out of his...
Do you know where that's out of?
That's in Yoker, California.
He starts off with his
there.
P-51 Mustang, and is flying James around in it.
You ready?
It's really impressive.
No, not really, no.
So I guess he flew that thing around with an instructor for a while, and then he got rated on it, right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, you need a full checkout and a full rating in a P-51 Mustang. So that shot with the jet right there.
So you're just flying next to him.
I'm just chasing him here.
This looks like a movie.
How slow can you fly that jet? There's not a lot of wing on it. Like, it's not swept, but it also feels like you can only go so slow in that jet.
It's one of the reasons why I chose the L-39. I mean, it'll go fast, but it also goes pretty slow. 110 knots is as slow as you usually want to take it.
Before it'll start coming down or losing lift or whatever. Yeah, it's
boy.
crazy.
He's just skimming that rock.
Yeah, it's all Cruz flying, huh?
This all cruise flying.
Yeah,
Yep.
held up the sign that said, help me. God, that's got to be...
Tom does not want that on there.
It's just it's so incredibly shot. You can fast forward. He'll get into the jet about halfway into it. I mean, it was literally, must have been multiple days of shooting, right?
It was about 2 days. By the time Corden came out, though, it was just 1 day. So we'd done some rehearsal stuff with Tom, but the Corden piece was just the day.
He gets into this jet, and now Tom's flying the jet, which is crazy, and you're flying the same jet, but you're filming.
That's right.
And you're flying. You're at the stick, and you have a cinematographer who's doing the actual shooting.
Yep, he's sitting in the back seat. I always call him the brave soul because he can't see where he's going, and he just trusts me.
Right, but everything's got there's ejector seats in
Or in
these,
ejection seats.
these jets.
I didn't hear any "Take My Breath Away" in the movie.
No.
Could have used that.
Yeah, it's pretty damn crazy
Look
what
at
he
that.
what he gets into. Now that's just a loaner, I guess. Tom doesn't own that jet, right?
That's a loaner. Belongs to the Patriot Jet Aerobatic Display Team. They're the only civilian aerobatic team in the country, similar to the Blues and the Thunderbirds.
Adam, take as much time as you need with this, but who would you rather get in a plane with, Tom Cruise or Harrison Ford?
I go with Cruise
Okay.
on this one, but I also my buddy Dexter from The Offspring.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
He's a rated jet pilot as well.
But when Tom Cruise looks you in the eye and says, "Get in," you get your ass in that plane.
I've said it for a million years. If you ever wanted to just blow up the internet, it would be Tom Cruise taking that P-51 Mustang, arming it with the guns, going insane, and just going up and down Sunset Boulevard, strafing tourists.
Jesus.
Well, it's morbid, albeit, but you could never top it in terms of a celebrity going insane, could you?
I can't argue with
You
that.
could have, folks melt down at a
Sure.
supermarket.
Slap someone at the
Yeah.
Oscars.
Turn a table
Slap
at Nobu.
someone at the Oscars, throw a table over at Nobu, but a P-51 Mustang just
Down
going up
Sunset.
and down Sunset, he could pull it off.
Yeah.
Not that he would. Not saying that he would. He goes full loop here, right? In a jet.
He sure does.
Damn believable.
Do you know if he had an interest in planes or training in planes before the original Top Gun, or that's what got him into it?
I don't know, but I can tell you
He
that
hasn't stopped flying
He
since.
has a love for aviation right now. That's just, he's definitely got the bug.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
I'm trying to wonder, he's already at the Jets. Where's the next? I don't know where
Space.
he goes from here. Oh, I would have John Travolta fly me.
Oh, I forgot about John.
Forgot about John. Do you know John?
I met him. Yeah, he's a good pilot.
Yeah, he's rated in a whole bunch of commercial airlines.
Look, it's upside down.
They're upside down. They're inverted. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, you guys get it. Impressive. And you got the best job in the world because you're just flying next to Tom Cruise filming him, right?
Yeah, we're just flying around making them
you
look
don't
at-
even film him. You just fly.
I'm just flying.
yeah.
I got a great job.
And I'm guessing you're on the radio with him and he's saying,
So,
now I'm going to go
coordinating
inverted.
moves. Yep.
Right.
Because I got to make sure I'm in the right spot or else the shot's not going to look cool.
Right. Oh, God. What a sweet ass gig.
You're badass.
I try.
Yeah.
So what is this? What's coming up? Because I'm with you, and I don't know. CGI kind of spun out for a while, and then maybe Born Identity and the Bond films and stuff that kind of brought back this real kind of tactile
Right.
thing back to the old car chases and fight scenes
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Analog in a good way.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's getting in the air. What's the film we were talking about at the
Devotion?
top?
Devotion.
Is about. Can you give us a little primer on that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Devotion is actually based on a true story. It's another aviation film about the United States Navy, but it's kind of a little forgotten war. I like to say the Korean War. We don't know very much about that. So it's about some heroic events that took place where two naval aviators, Jonathan Majors and Glenn Powell, are the leads in it, directed by J.D. Dillard, and the movie's really good. So there's a trailer out. It's available. I just posted it the other day, and it's got a different vibe to it than Top Gun. It's a little bit more intimate, following these two gentlemen through their career and what they did and these acts of, these crazy acts of heroism.
And
that
there
they
are
did.
enough of those airplanes, those Corsairs and
Oh,
ones like
super
that
hard to
you
find.
can find.
You can find them. I mean, it's similar to the Mustang. They're rare, but again, we wanted to make sure it was all accurate. We brought in the exact airplanes that would have been in the Korea War. I even found the oldest flying helicopter, they say, in the world, and it had 700 missions in the Korean War. We brought that in. Glenn Powell actually flew in it. That was an insurance nightmare.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
You're going to fly in the oldest helicopter in the world.
Speaking of an insurance nightmare, I noticed that Tom Sizemore's in the movie. Did he get behind the yoke of a plane?
No.
Oh.
Oh, Sizemore was in there?
Speaking of insurance nightmares.
I didn't see. I don't remember Uber, Tom?
No. In Devotion. Devotion,
Okay,
sorry.
good. I wouldn't let
Sizemore
Tom.
was not in. I don't know. If you
I
and
wouldn't
Tom
let
would
him in
get along.
I wouldn't let him in the back of an Uber. That's how dangerous Tom Sizemore is. I don't think insurance would cover his Uber ride to Burbank Airport. But there's a couple things that I guess Kevin would know, but you might not know. Those old aircraft, those Corsairs, the radial engines and stuff like that, they were big. A lot bigger than you remember, or think. Like jets are a lot smaller and sleeker and streamlined. You see those things in real life. They're huge. And the guys that were flying them were 21, 22. And imagine this world where they would say to the P-51 Mustang guys in the European theater, they'd go escort those B-24 bombers out to wherever the ball bearing factory they're going to bomb, and then when you're on your way back, you got to look for targets of opportunity. So while you're coming back, you just go ahead and fly across the European terrain, and if you see like a train or something,
go ahead and grab
just
it.
open up on it. If you see like an ox cart and it looks like maybe there's some ammunition in the back,
Suspicious.
Turn it over.
just go ahead and drop down on that and just open up with your cannons. Like, you're 22. You can handle it. Like, that was the protocol. Just fly back. You don't have to say anything or report or do anything. Just, you got the 50 caliber cannon.
Pick up a few things on the way home.
And if you haven't spent it all on, German, aircraft on the way out, then you got something left, then empty it out on the way back.
Wow. And these Corsairs do not look like they'd stay in the air very willingly. They are boxy and bulky.
They're big old junky planes.
They look like the planes from Planes from the cartoon.
And those things were designed to land on aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so
there's nothing sleek about them.
It was a different time, and at some point, like I said, they went from the big round radial front to the sleeker, and that's where they picked up the speed. But were there any in Korea? It was like 50, 51, something like that. Any jets involved in that theater?
Well, in the movie we'll show this, but they had jets before we had jets. We were just starting our jet age. And the first aircraft that we deployed to the Korean War were Corsairs and Sky Raiders. So we
propeller planes.
Exactly. We hadn't progressed much since World War II by the time we got in there. But once we hit the jet age, it started really progressing. So we were at a bit of a disadvantage. We had Corsair prop airplanes fighting, I think there were Chinese-built MiG-15s or MiG-17s out there.
Germans had a couple of jets going in World War II.
Sure did.
They had a jet fighter plane. They had freaked out the American pilots. Because imagine not seeing a propeller in front of an airplane. It had to look like magic, right?
Like, in the air?
Like all you'd ever seen since the Wright brothers till now is a big old prop moving the air. And then all of a sudden something just goes by at 550 miles an hour making a whistling sound and there's no propeller. Yeah. Thank God.
Sorcery.
Yeah, they didn't get that till the very end, so we were able to sort of defeat that. Kevin, come back anytime you like, by the way, because I'd love you to keep us abreast of what's going on.
Would love that.
Or blow a text into Tom, get him over here. I have his fire suit from his...
you really?
Yeah.
Well, I have his racing suit from when he used to race with Paul Newman.
That is so cool.
Back in the day.
No way. We'll tell him he needs to come here and pick it up on the show.
Yeah, pick it up. I got his helmet. I got his fire suit. He used to race with Newman and Bob Sharp in like 87, 80. Well, probably right around Top Gun. Although
Days of Thunder, probably.
Yeah, he probably did Top Gun, then Days of Thunder, and then he got into car racing as well. But if he wants to come in, and I know he's let himself go. He probably couldn't zip it up, but suck in that gut. I'll hold your beer, Tom. I'll hold your cigarette and your beer. Just suck it up. See if we can get you into that old suit.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, Adam. That guy's in pretty good shape.
Come on.
I know you didn't use a lot of...
I know your friend.
Not a lot of CGI, but that beach scene, come on, that was cooked. All right, let me tell you about Edmunds. Thanks to Edmunds for sponsoring this show. That's right, the automotive industry. It's changing fast. You got to keep up buying or selling a car. Well, it's a big decision. And you want to, well, now you got to factor in, what, $8 a gallon out here worth of gas prices? Maybe you want an electric car. Maybe you're thinking of other options. And for over 50 years, Edmunds has helped people confidently shop the car market with in-depth reviews, online shopping tools, and expert guidance. You go online, they do long-term test drives of these cars. They don't get them for free. They buy them, and then they drive them. So they're not beholden to any of the manufacturers. And then they tell you how this thing worked over the course of a year. It's comprehensive articles like Electric Vehicle Buying Guide, honest, in-depth reviews. It's all unbiased, and it's all the info you need at Edmunds. Right, Dawson?
If you're considering making a change on the road, Edmunds is here to help. Visit edmunds.com/appraisal to get your free online appraisal today. That's edmunds.com/appraisal. Edmunds, they drive it like it is.
All right. We'll talk to gubernatorial candidate, author, and all-around interesting guy, Michael Shellenberger, and we'll do that right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace, Ball, Gina, Rich from Milwaukee here, driving down the highway, heading home from work, reading the geniuses that created the sign that said, "Seatbelts match any outfit. Get it on."
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
All right. Well, Michael Shellenberger, who's a candidate for governor, is also an author and a very interesting independent thinker, is going to be in here in just a couple of few. So we'll just shuttle him in as soon as he pulls up here. I will. Oh, he is here, Emmy? All right. So he'll come in post-haste. I just wrote this note down. Seeing a lot of commercials for eye drops.
Really?
Wondering what's going on. Medicated eye drops.
Yeah.
Lots of medication.
Just saw this
in
last night.
eye drops. Yep. And I want to know what's happening. Now, I grew up with Visine.
Yeah.
That was just pretty much for stoners.
Well, yeah, that was to get rid of the red eye.
It was
the red eye.
it was an aesthetic.
Yeah.
But now, evidently, people are having a lot of dry eye issues. And I don't know if they're all on medication that's then drying
Yes.
up their bowels and their eyes.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a side effect from all the other shit they're on.
The
It has to
opioids.
be, because that's how the pharmaceutical world works. So there's a lot of...
If they're getting that complaint a lot,
Yes, because it didn't exist before everyone got on all the
Right.
opioids or the serotonin reuptake inhibitors or whatever. Now everyone's on this cocktail of drugs, and their eye and their assholes are drying out. Speaking of dry assholes, no. Michael Shellenberger has joined us. He's running for governor of California. I will pull that mic right on up, and good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, so I guess we can start with your background. You're environmentalist, I guess, in some other version of an environmentalist, or how would you label yourself?
Well, I was radical left as a teenage boy. I went to Nicaragua to help the Sandinistas when I was 17 in the late 80s.
Yeah.
I worked for the Soros Foundation in the late 90s to decriminalize drugs. I helped Maxine Waters advocate for needle exchange. I long thought, and my understanding was, we were trying to get people into rehab rather than into prison if they had drug problems. I then focused on the environment from around 2000 to the last few years, and only came back to this issue of drugs and homelessness and crime when I saw that drug overdose deaths had gone from 17,000 in the year 2000 to 70,000 in 2017. This year it's 107,000 people. God. And the homeless crisis, which I had always suspected wasn't just about housing. Always had something to do with drugs.
Yeah.
out.
So after I wrote a best-selling book, Apocalypse Never, about the environment. It came out in 2020. COVID hit, and I thought this was a chance to write a book on the homeless crisis, figure out what's really going on. What did I get wrong, if anything? And it turns out quite a few things. So I wrote a book, San Francisco, came out the fall of last year. And after trying to get other people to run for governor and failing, other folks asked me to run, so I did. And here we are.
What are, I talked to Dr. Drew about this a lot, but I talked to Mark Garagos about it a lot. Like, we're all born and bred in Southern California. Everyone's been in the same 8-mile square radius for our entire lives.
Yeah.
So we got kind of a front row seat to what was going on. Many people relocate out here, but we've been watching it collectively for, 186 years. And it's falling apart, and it's quantifiable. And so then the question is do the people that are setting the policy, do they understand it's falling apart? And if they do, is there something nefarious afoot, or are they earnestly trying their best to prevent something from happening that just gets worse every year?
Yeah,
both grounds for removal, by the way.
It's
but
more of a stupid or incompetent.
Yes, there's something nefarious that I'm unaware of.
I mean, it's not nefarious in the sense that people are waking up in the morning being like, how do we get more people addicted to drugs and living on the street? I found no evidence for that. What I found a lot of evidence for is that liberals, progressives have a huge, huge blind spot on this issue of compassion. They think, it's just like they say, they think that if I mean well, if I'm trying to help people, nothing bad could come of that. And I know because that's how I used to think.
It's a noble enterprise.
Yeah. It's a beauty. So San Francisco, I included, it was considered very controversial, but I included Jonestown. This is, the cult leader Jim Jones got over 900 people killed. It's why we say drinking the Kool-Aid is about being dogmatic. And what you discover when you research Jonestown is how beautiful it was. It sounds terrible, but like you look at what, this interracial, these communes, it was in San Francisco, of course, before they went to Guyana. But there was something really beautiful about it, and they really were doing good charity. They were incredibly effective. Always starts that way, right? Always starts that way, right, for sure. And then it just gets, he was, a sadist and a sociopath. There are definitely some sociopaths that I think are in charge of this stuff, meaning just in the sense that they view people as means to an end. And so, look, I just wrote a piece about how we have mortality data. We know that 3 times more homeless people were killed in LA between 2020 and 2021 than in New York City, even though LA has 14,000 fewer homeless people. Why? Well, because New York requires and has 96% of its homeless people in shelters. They have to sleep indoors. LA has less than a third of its homeless in shelters. And the response has been from when you confront people with this evidence, and it wasn't like before this data we knew that, people are being like, by the way, run over by cars, stabbed and killed. Basically 100% of the women that I interview in the encampments have been sexually assaulted multiple times. It's totally depraved. It's out of control. It's actually worse than most people realize. So then how do you justify it? Dogmatism. It's just this kind of dogmatic insistence that, and it's a kind of left-wing libertarianism. So on the one hand, for the leaders, it's, well, we can't make them stay in shelters. People say to me, they go, oh, what are you saying? You want to make people stay in shelters? My point is, nobody has to stay in a shelter. You don't have to go in a shelter, but you can't sleep outside. It's dangerous to sleep outside. It's overwhelmingly clear that it's extremely dangerous for you and for everybody else for you to sleep outside. So you go stay with family and friends, do what millions of other people do and move out of state or move into cheaper rent, but you can't sleep outside. You have to have the same position on this as they do in New York. But there's so many people that are just, oh my God, that's horrible that you would make homeless people sleep indoors. They think they're being nice. They're not being nice. They think they're being compassionate.
It's all part of this weird kind of gestalt of like, you want these people to work for slave wages? You want to pay them $5 an hour to work in a coal mine? It's like, they can quit. They don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to do. Right. You don't have to work for slave wages. If you work for Hobby Lobby and they don't provide birth control pills,
go to Michael's.
Then quit and go to Michael's. Like you have free will. You have agency. You can do this. You're not the custodian of everyone all the time. The problem is the crazed narcissism, which is these little people don't know any better. They'll sleep outside. They'll work for slave wages. They'll not have birth control. It's like, you're not in charge of everyone. Set policy that will persuade people to do the right thing, but you don't have to be their custodian.
Well, and I've been saying that for a while. Like, it is inhumane what we're doing. We as a society, we don't treat animals like this. You see a dog running down the street by himself, you'll see 15 people come out and grab him and go, where can we go with him? You don't. We treat animals better than we think people deserve to be treated. I don't understand.
Yep.
It's not fair.
Well, no, not only that. I mean, to address your point, Adam, it's a freer society than it's ever been. There's more opportunities for people than have ever existed before. So, and to your point, yeah, I mean, it's a libertarianism, but it's tied to something that I think is really at bottom, which is this victim ideology. It's this idea that you can divide people into victims and oppressors. And to victims, everything should be given and nothing required, including following the laws. So if you're designated a victim, then you're not required to follow the laws. And I think that's at the bottom of this. That's where this is headed. That's what's so disturbing about it, is that you see, and this is something that an article recently in Barry Weiss's Substack was that there's now an effort to change legal, like there's now an effort in law schools, but basically to have laws enforced differently for different groups of people. That's how far this is where this is going.
I feel like we did that a few decades ago, and it wasn't the right thing to do.
It can't work. It never works. The whole notion of like, well, we'll just change the math scores for this group or for that group. It's an impossibility. It's essentially like saying this car isn't capable of going highway speeds. Well, just break the glass on the speedometer, take your finger and scooch it up to 65 miles an hour. It's like, you could do that.
Right.
It will not fix anything. There's never any signs that it fixes anything. There's no historical evidence that it works. And so the question is why, especially in California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, why do we have this crazy stay the course mentality when the course is going into the ocean?
Well, I think that's a really interesting question, right? Because, of course, my sisters in Boston, New York and Boston are run by Democrats. I mean, they're run by people that consider themselves progressive Democrats. They don't allow homeless encampments. They had one briefly in Boston, actually, last year. They shut it down. New York, I think New York becomes even more harder to manage than LA with just allowing open air drug scenes, but there's also a sense of propriety. I also think there's this thing, I call it Big Lebowski syndrome, which is because there's the hardcore activists who are like, how dare you require people to sleep indoors?
Right.
But then there's sort of like your average Joe who's like, hey, take it easy, man.
That's like your opinion.
That's just your opinion, man. I mean, I hear it all the time from just workaday liberals in the Bay Area. They're like, why are you so uptight? And I'm like, well, because people are being raped and murdered. And they're kind of like, well, they're free to be there. There's a California, it's the Saturday Night Live skit, too, has it, which is just a sort of, it is a kind of laissez-faire libertarianism. But it's obviously reached a breaking point, and that's why you're seeing this backlash. That's why I'm running. That's why I'm in your studio.
Brian.
It just occurred to me, so feel free to prove me wrong, but it strikes me that it would be more difficult in LA than New York to do the housing indoors mandate, because if LA, say, was to adopt that, you've always got the city of Santa Monica that exists, independently of LA. You got the city of Culver City, on and on and on. There's all these little enclaves where they can make their own rules, and frankly, they're very progressive, and they might just reject it.
Yeah, they do.
Feel free to, that just occurred to me.
Well, no, and they do. I mean, that was so interesting when I was covering the Venice Beach encampments, and then they would stop at the border of Santa Monica, and I'd be like, "What happened here?" And it's like they're just in. And there's this argument I'm having a public argument about this, but basically, there's people that are like, "It's such a mystery. Why are there people camping in these places?" It's like, well, because they allow it. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day,
no one's coming in and
moving them, and then they say, "Well, you can't move them because there's this ruling out of Boise, Idaho, the Supreme Court upheld." That you can't move people, they call them move-alongs. You can't move people along unless you have sufficient shelter. Well, just build the shelter. I mean, if there were an earthquake and there were 150,000 people on the street being raped and killed, 150,000 people, you would build the shelters within hours and have people getting medical care. So this is clearly a political, so there's a manipulation of our compassion, of our love of freedom by radical left-wing activists posing as homeless advocates, posing as homeless experts, who make up all these reasons why you can't make people go indoors, as though, because people act like, oh my, well, how would it work? Like, how would it work? And you kind of, well, you build a shelter and you say you can't sleep there, but you can sleep in the shelter. Like, that's it. Yeah. Like, that's the whole, people are like, oh, but that, they make up all sorts of objections to it, and then they accuse anybody, and you see it here in LA, it's happening with the mayor's race. They accuse anybody who suggests doing that as a fascist. Like that's just their go-to.
Sure.
I just saw on a Fox article today, and I didn't read the whole thing, but I glanced over it. A lot of moms in San Francisco are mad at the government going, you are allowing my son to die on the street. Like with
That's right.
the way you guys are just sort of being like, whatever, come to San Francisco and use whatever you want. These family members are begging them to uphold the laws so they don't kill their family members.
That's right. That's Mothers Against Drug Deaths. They're actually
Yes.
part of the same coalition I'm part of, which is called the California Peace Coalition, which is parents of homeless addicts, parents of kids killed by fentanyl, parents who discovered their kids dead on their bedroom floors, and then recovering addicts who are proof. There's so much addiction pessimism. I just testified in the assembly a couple of days ago, and people that are trying to promote these supervised drug use sites, they just get up there and they say, well, you know, it's really hard to quit drugs, so therefore we're just going to maintain people's addictions. I mean, okay, if you're 75 years old and you've been using heroin for 50 years, you might need palliative
run.
care.
If you're Alan Arkin in Little Miss Sunshine.
William S. Burroughs.
But if you're like a 25-year-old who went right from weed to fentanyl, to give up on that person and say they can't recover from addiction, it's bonkers. Yeah. It's very cynical. It's gross and sinister, actually.
I'm older than everyone in the room. I had a hippie mom. I had a grandmother who was this way. You know, you can talk about codes, legislation, whatever. It's really just about authority. They just fucking hate authority. They just, the man, everything's the man. They hate football coaches. They hate cops. They hate anyone who has anything close to the rule of law. You keep wondering, like, why are they against this? And then they're against that, and they're against this. They just hate dudes with authority. They just push back against all authority. The homeless advocates are a bunch of fucking wackadoodles who fucking are pissed at their stepdad for molesting them. And they see their stepdad in everything. They're like the really shitty TSA airport worker who's just giving shit to every single person. It's like, God, he has a problem with that guy because of his water problem. Then that guy says, no, they have a problem with everybody. It's all authority. And anyone, and basically what we're saying is where's the authority? These people, there's dudes sleeping, the guy's got a broken down Winnebago in front of my $3 million house in Venice and he's dealing fentanyl. Somebody get involved. It's like, well, that sounds sounds like authority.
Yeah.
All the shit we want is all authority-based. They fucking hate it. And what they do is they then glorify all these people. Like, hey, the face of homelessness, it could be a mother of three who just lost her job, or everyone is proud, everyone is something, no one is really out. That's what it is. You could distill it all down to just pure and simple authority, and or if you ask them their permission for anything, the answer is no. Like, hey, we need a water desalination plant. No.
Well, no,
we need an electrical grid. No.
Yeah.
We need an extra lane for the alleviate traffic. Like, no. Like, just no. The answer is no to any questions you have. And anytime you want to evoke any authority in any situation, in any environment, they're against it.
Well, that's right.
That's all this.
I mean, it's interesting because, of course, they if you say, hey, there's an RV selling meth in front of my kid's school, can the police come and remove it? Oh, no, because those people are victims. But if you're like, but yet the same people will turn around a few minutes later and be like, we have to impose mask mandates on everybody in Alameda County. That's where I live, by the way. I live in
their
Berkeley.
idea.
So one question that people put to me is, they're like, why are they so comfortable imposing mask mandates on everybody, but not asking the guy in the RV in front of the school to move? Well, it's victim ideology. They think that the guy in the RV selling meth to everybody is a victim because he's supposedly homeless. Now, I do think, though, that you're detecting something else which is important here, which is that there is among the radical activists, that dress themselves up as homeless experts, they really hate society. They really hate modern capitalist society, and so for them, there's much more of a nihilism, just a kind of just a hatred or rejection. So they like the guys in the RV selling meth in front of the school. This is a real story, by the way. This is Venice Beach. They like that because their attitude is F bourgeois society.
Yes,
they hate bourgeois society, but then they'll turn around and be like, everybody has to wear a mask. So some of it's will to power, some of it is nihilism, hatred of the society. I mean, I think what's interesting, this is a subject, if I lose, I'll work on this in my next book, but that there's a sort of, there used to be a utopianism among the hippies in the 60s, you know, and I noticed this first on climate change, that all's gone. Like, you're kind of like, where is this headed? Like, what's the utopian vision? It used to be socialism, then it was ecotopia, but now it's just...
Yes, they
Thunderdome.
can't listen.
Yeah,
I grew
exactly.
up
Now it's
with-
just Mad Max.
I grew up with these idiots. They can't just go, fuck it, I hate this country. They go, I love this country, okay? But you understand, the Trail of Tears was an atrocity. And then you go back to, you know, Japanese American internment camps. It's like, yeah, okay, you love this country, but all you can ever do is bring up anything we've ever done that was negative in this country. Never talk about liberating, you know, camps in Auschwitz or winning World War II or just whatever, Golden Gate Bridge. You know, it's like, I love this country, and then all you do is talk about any atrocity that's in our history and all countries' histories as well. So at a certain point, forgive me if I don't think you love this country that much.
Yep.
And this is what these nihilists do. They go, they can't just go, fuck it. It's look, basically, they failed. They're fucking losers. They tried to start some fucking business. It failed 1,000 times, and now they just want it all to go away. Like, I was a really shitty student. I wanted the school, the Hall of Records at my school to burn to the ground because I wanted all my D minuses to turn to ashes. But if you're an A student, you don't want that because you need your transcript to go to Stanford, right? They're all fucking horrible students. They want to burn it to the ground. They can't say it out loud, but they act that way.
I mean, there's a shocking number of them that do come from good schools, that do come from privilege, and it's just a kind of straight up assertion
all
of
the
their
more
power.
reason why they're fucking losers.
Yeah.
They got their Stanford degree and they can't figure out a way to turn it into more than $61,000 a year. All right, well, let's talk about the environment. Let's talk about nuclear. Let's talk about the forest and the wildfires. So we're all preparing for wildfires and rolling blackouts and no water to put out the wildfires,
right?
Which is, you want to talk about sort of key, essential, core issues of government.
Yes.
I would say it's right up there.
Keeping the city standing?
Yeah, I would say fire and water and power, right up there.
Yeah, I mean, California's in a crisis of civilization at this point. It's a crisis of chaos. We're not maintaining the institutions. I mean, it's all of them at once, as you said. We're not building the desalination facilities to produce the fresh water. We're not maintaining the forests so that they don't go up in flames every summer. We're not building the power plants. They're trying to take down the power plants. The Governor Gavin Newsom, in 2019, he said, well, at some point, we might even build close a prison. He's now planning on emptying 3 prisons, releasing 76,000 prisoners out of the 96,000 that are in prison.
This would be a good movie.
63,000 of whom are in for violent offenses. I'm all for, hey, you do your time, you do the crime, you do the time, and then you're free. But we're talking about early releases. So there's it's interesting because I'm a big advocate of nuclear power plants. I've been trying to keep them open to prevent exactly what's happening now, which is the worst energy crisis in 50 years. But when I started working on this new book on San Francisco, I was like, wow, I look at the people trying to shut down nuclear plants and the people who were shutting down psychiatric hospitals. And then you look at the people then trying to shut down the prisons and shut down the police stations and not build the power plants you need. It's that same nihilism. It's the same destructive impulse. And every time they say the same thing, which is, no, we've got this better alternative. We're going to have community-based care, mental health. Well, they didn't build that, but they shut down the psychiatric hospitals beforehand. With the power plants, they go, well, we don't need nuclear power plants or natural gas power plants because we've got renewables. It's all going to work out fine. Well, no, it doesn't work out fine because they're not reliable and the batteries are really expensive and you need to have reliable power plants. Well, we're going to let the forests return to natural ecosystem states. It doesn't work. And so every time they sell a bill of goods to the society, things fall apart, and then, of course, they find other things. They blame racism, they blame climate change, they blame their enemies.
What the fuck is wrong with everybody? You know what I mean? I've talked to a million experts on power, and they've all nuclear's the way to go, but you just can't sell it. why do
Call
we
it
have to
something
sell
else.
it? Like, God bless him. I sat here with Bill Shatner. It's like, he's a very smart guy, doesn't know anything about nuclear power plants against it. You know what I mean? Like, it's been the greatest campaign ever.
Yes.
You took this thing that as an environmentalist should be your friend.
Yeah.
Nuclear power is your friend if you're into the environment. And you've just slung mud at it and gotten every dope in fucking California and the United States to walk in lockstep right behind your retarded ass off a powerless cliff. What's wrong with everyone's malleable brain? Doesn't anyone read articles? Can't they fucking figure out shit isn't working? It's insane. It just became a movement. It became less about the science and more about the movement, I guess. And it just recruited a bunch of dumb fucks. And then we have Gavin Newsom, who's the king of the dumb fucks, who's just looking at all these people for his cues. Like, what do you guys want to do? Oh, nut job Hollywood. You don't want nuclear power? Fine, no nuclear power. Like, it's the opposite of leadership. Now, Gavin, I know there's something wrong with his brain. I don't know if syphilis is eating it. He sat where you sat. I grilled him for 45 minutes. He couldn't cobble together a sentence. He's that fucking vapid and dumb. Now, there are people who you go like Barack Obama. That guy's a super intelligent guy. I disagree with many of his policies. Articulate, intelligent guy. Fine. Not that. But Gavin Newsom is not that. There's something wrong with Gavin Newsom, but I can't figure out what it is. And this notion that he's going to use this as some sort of springboard to the White House. What? Because I fucking raped California and destroyed it. Now we'll go national with my plan. Like, what is any insights to that man?
Well, it's exactly what you said. I mean, it's just been naked ambition the entire time, and so everything is a stepping stone on his way to the White House. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting because of course he does what the experts around him tell him to do on every issue, but then the experts have been wrong, and they've gotten these things horribly, horribly wrong, whether it's on energy or homelessness or crime or nuclear.
The economy. We had a whole bunch of experts saying, oh, don't worry about it. It's transitory. It's not whatever. All experts, all from Yale and Harvard and whatever, all fucking handpicked.
Yeah, so then you get to, then when things start to fall apart, he looks around and goes, hey, who's in charge around here? What's going on? And people kind of go, it's you, bro. But he doesn't have we're at a moment where the experts have failed so miserably. So the people that just followed the orders of the experts are failing. It requires somebody, and this is why I'm running, that really, I mean, I am an expert on energy and homelessness. I've looked at the evidence myself. Most politicians don't do that. Most politicians just do whatever the experts tell them to do. He's not capable of doing that.
Well, it's not
I don't
even,
want to speculate why.
I don't want to correct you. It's not what the experts, it's what my experts tell me what to do. We had a lot of experts in COVID saying, don't shut down the schools. And you went, you're not my expert. Right. I want to talk to my expert. We had a lot of experts saying masks don't work. That's your expert. I got my experts.
That's right.
So it's not, I wish it was just the experts. Then maybe we'd get this sort of, this potpourri of experts. No, you've handpicked your experts who agree with you, coincidentally. This is like Mark Garagos calling up an expert at a trial. Those are vetted experts, and that's what they say,
that's absolutely right. I mean, I point to, in San Francisco, I point out that the Netherlands does a really good job on drugs, crime, and homelessness. They also did a pretty good job on COVID. They sent the kids back into school classrooms in the fall of 2020. Our leaders are pretty provincial. I mean, I think Californians and Gavin Newsom, these guys travel to Europe. They obviously vacation there, but they don't interview people. They don't talk to people outside of their bubble. I have a bunch of people now that tell me that are close to Gavin, and they tell me what he's like, and it is what it looks like, which is that he's in a bubble. He's out to lunch. He thinks California's doing great because we have all this tech billionaires who made a lot of money.
Well, one
we have
less.
Their taxes.
Yeah. Elon left.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the part of the problem with California is that we all of us that are here, we love it so much. We love the weather. We love the natural environment. We love we actually like the Big Lebowski culture rather than that snobby East Coast culture. That's why we're here and not in New York or Boston. But with that comes politicians who just take us for granted. We pay these super high taxes, and we have the worst public services. I mean, if you're going to spend the more money per capita on homelessness and on mental health, but we have the worst outcomes and we don't demand any better because we're kind of like, well, at least we get to be in California. So I think in some ways we need a voter revolt. We need the voters to impose an intervention to change the system. And they tried to do that during the recall, but Larry Elder was just not somebody really aligned with California values. I'm somebody that is much more liberal, much more moderate on issues that I think most Californians hold around things like guns and abortion. Things like the pandemic, I was much stronger at the beginning of it. Now it's absurd to have mask mandates, but we need to come back to some moderation. It is actually happening on nuclear. Support for keeping our last nuclear plant open is now greater than support for closing it. That's after many years of us arguing this out publicly. So I do think there's a backlash going on. Will it be sufficient? We'll find out on Tuesday.
I'm happy to give you some free advice on nuclear.
Please.
Remember all those comedy bits, like late night shows would say, do you like Obamacare? Oh, hell no. Well, do you like the Affordable Care Act? Oh, I love it. So just rename it. Call it something else and everybody will fall in line.
What should we call it?
That's a good question.
It can't start with an N because then Jane Fonda will go no nukes or whatever.
True.
But N because that's the science of it.
That's
Fucking
true.
Retarded people going, well, she said, Ed Asner said no nukes.
The alliteration is right there.
The alliteration alone. I think, though, a while back we did say, don't call it nuclear, call it nuclear energy.
Puppy power.
Nice.
Puppy power.
The original vision of this was around radium, and so one idea was to call it radiant energy.
Oh, that's good.
So that was one thing. I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like you change the name, everybody goes, "You're talking about nuclear power, right?" And you're like, "Well, yeah."
I don't know. A lot of people are pretty dumb.
Where do you stand with the mayoral race? How do you come down on that?
I'm very similar. I mean, Caruso has basically adopted a lot of the similar things that I've been talking about. You need centralized addiction and mental health care. I think you need it at the statewide level because LA and San Francisco and San Diego, the coastal cities, cannot treat all of America's homeless, mentally ill drug addicts. They just don't have the space. But we can do it statewide. So if you have like an opening in a rehab facility in Modesto or in Bakersfield, then you can move people around. People come to, the thing people don't understand, 50 to 75% of the people on the streets are from out of California at this point. People come here for the drugs, for the benefits, for the fact they can sleep outside and use drugs all the time.
They stay for the beaches.
That's right.
Yeah. And so those folks, if, you say, look, you can sleep in a shelter, can't sleep on the street. A lot of those folks are just going to need to go detox and get into rehab. We can provide that for them, but not necessarily in LA, not necessarily in San Francisco. You have a statewide system. I'm calling it Cal Psych. We have California Highway Patrol. We have California Fire. We need California Psych, Cal Psych, to get people the rehab and psychiatric care they need. People coming from out of state, we get reimbursed by Medicaid. They're all destitute anyway. So that's the most important thing to do. And I think Caruso is singing from a similar hymn book, but I think he's going to need the help of a governor to make that happen.
Well, God willing, just because I can't resist, I'd like to be the traffic czar, by the way, once you're elected governor, because
no, don't say sure. Don't placate him and brush him off like that.
Well, I was going to say, the only question is, can we make sure that the left lane is a passing lane, for Christ's sake?
We'll start there.
How would the left lane be a passing lane? If you agree to implement that, then you've got the job.
He's light years ahead.
You're going to love his stance on red lights.
We got Gavin and one of his patent insane answers that I just told Emmy to pull up from back in the day when I interviewed him. I wanted to know what he was doing, what his thoughts on traffic were, and his reply was,
I saw a billboard out on the 405 says you're not stuck in traffic. And you're thinking, how the hell, what does that mean? It says you are traffic, which I kind of like.
God.
He likes that.
Oh, he loved that.
That's a problem solver?
Wow.
You're not stuck in traffic, you are traffic, which I kind of like.
Problem solved.
You're the problem, in other words.
He's the worst. We're the dumbest. I don't know what's up with people in California. What the fuck is wrong with all you idiots? This guy's clearly an imbecile. Like I said, there's people you disagree with, but they're not imbeciles.
I mean, it's elitism
He's
too.
vapid.
It's elitism too, which is sort of like, why do you have to be in your car?
Right.
It's like, well, because I'm driving to work. I'm trying to get home from work.
They're doing the exact same thing with cars as they're doing with power, which is what's wrong with renewables? What's wrong with wind? What's wrong with solar? It's like nothing. You don't have infrastructure. It's not in place. It's not usable. What's wrong with monorails and the Jetson Mobile and buses and bike lanes? It's like, I'd love to sleep on my way to work in one of your state-of-the-art monorails, except for you don't have that.
Yeah.
But your plan is, let's get you out of the car, and let's get you off nuclear, and let's get you onto this other stuff, except for it doesn't exist yet.
Well, they do the same thing with the homeless, where they kind of go, hey, it's the same thing. It kind of goes, hey, what's the problem with just having people sleep outside? Well, I'll tell you one of them, just to tie these two issues together. Last week, a homeless guy wandered onto the freeway overpass, stopped traffic on the 405 for 3.5 hours. You may be aware of the situation.
Well, Gavin says he isn't traffic. You're traffic. Yeah.
Literally, he is traffic.
But I mean, like, literally, you're kind of like one. So the chaos, the homeless chaos, is now grinding the society to a halt.
Yes.
I mean, at that point, you're like, that is no longer just. Hey, one dude wants to smoke fentanyl in a tent all day. What's your problem, man? No, it's actually shutting the entire city down.
You go I talked to the guys like at the Malibu Fire Department. They're like, most of the fires we put out are homeless fires.
50 to 80%.
50 to 80% of our fire department is putting out fires for people who want to start campfires on the fucking street. Go to Santa Monica, go out on the beach, crack a beer, and light a sparkler.
See what happens.
And see how fucking fast the man comes down on you. And by the way, the same pussies who are fighting for the homeless don't want you to have that beer and that sparkler on the beach. That's that.
Because you're not a victim.
Right.
That's the difference. And by the way, most of those fires I go to the fires and interview people. They're almost all deliberately set revenge arson fires.
Shit.
Somebody slept with his girlfriend and some stuff like that. But no, I mean, this is why nobody knows how much we actually spend on the homeless crisis, because when the EMTs, or the fire departments, but the EMTs revive somebody 6, 9, 12 times from an overdose and then send them right back onto the street where they're smoking fentanyl literally within minutes after that, what's the cost of that? Nobody has any idea. You know, that's why it's like the homeless encampments are actually extremely expensive to maintain. Yes, they look like slums, but they're very expensive because they require 50 to 80% of your entire fire department budget. They require EMTs to come out and revive you, because everyone's like, well, how much is what you're talking about going to cost? Getting people into rehab, even if it's like a long stay, like a 6-month stay in rehab, and then getting them into Cal Fire to do some work clearing the forests after that, which is a great use of their time. Hell of a lot cheaper than reviving them 12 times and putting out their fires and dealing with all of the problems.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's also much more humane.
And you give them purpose, and they're treated like human beings. If we could just, the notion that it just gets worse every year and they try to pitch this stay the course, or I'm the only man or woman for the job. Like, are you nuts? I wouldn't want any people that were currently in the city council or any form of government that has to do with LA or California. I want them all out. You guys have fucked the pooch royally. You've never stopped. It's fresh blood time. I treat it like a football franchise. You guys are 0-142. Shit can the coach, get rid of the offensive coordinator, clean out the front office. Let's just get some folks in there who can form thoughts, who might have a little different approach than your approach, which is no approach.
I mean, I think the thing about all these things is that the people in power try to complicate it all, but it's actually pretty straightforward. Yeah. Managing the forests means clearing the woody debris. In the coastal forests, like the Malibu forest, it's putting out the fires right away. It's clearing the area around the electrical wires. That's it. That's all it is. Homeless encampments, having enough shelters, requiring people to stay in them, having enough rehab facilities and psych hospitals. That's it.
No, I
like, this is not like, electrical grids, having enough power plants. Like, I'm blowing your mind here. It's like,
I know, I can't keep up.
I know, it's like literally, like when you think back to the energy crisis 20 years ago, everyone goes, well, it was Enron, they were manipulating and everything. They're only able to manipulate the markets when you don't have enough power. If you have abundant, or the water. People are so ignorant on this. I have people on social media, they say to me, oh, what are you going to do? Make it rain? Ha ha. It's like they're not even
know
aware.
about cloud seeding?
They're not even aware that there's 3 basic ways to produce abundant water. More storage in the form of reservoirs created by dams, recycling city water. Phoenix recycles all of its wastewater through its nuclear plant.
Like the gray water,
recycling. Or desalination. The Israelis are now refilling the Sea of Galilee. I'm not saying they're going to solve all the problems in the Middle East, but it's helping a lot that the Israelis are exporting fresh water to their neighbors. California should be doing the same thing. These technologies are they're better now, but this is not like this is not like fusion or like Neuralink.
No, but they're all, like I said.
These are basic technologies that simply need to be built, and it just requires the leadership to get it done.
Yeah, or the Coastal Commission to fucking die in a plane crash.
Question related to that. We have the money, and I'm curious now because this is a good question for someone who's running for governor. The huge budget surplus that California has, the record-breaking surplus. On the one hand, we're like, oh, great, so much money, how nice. On the other hand, is that just poor mismanagement?
Right. And why is there garbage everywhere?
Poor management or mismanagement.
No, I know. It's like, you're like, how is there $100 billion and yet there's not enough fresh water? The forests are not being properly managed. There's garbage everywhere. I mean, there's just garbage everywhere. There's money. So basically all of these agencies have huge numbers of openings. We don't have enough workers to go into them. Why don't we have enough workers? Because the cost of living is too high. So these issues are all related. Bottom line is the governor has to waive the regulations. The big one is the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. We do waive it for when we want to build a stadium. You have to waive that to build more middle-class housing so you can have the workers to clear the forests, to build the shelters, to staff the shelters and the rehab facilities, to clean up the garbage, to maintain civilization. So these things are connected in that sense, but you just have to have leadership that can explain these things to people, take the executive actions they need to take. It's the Coastal Commission, by the way, it's 12 appointees, 4 are the governor, 4 are from the Assembly, 4 are from the Senate. The Democrats control all of those bodies. Like the governor's 4 appointees to the Coastal Commission all voted against the desalination plant in Huntington Beach. So I don't know. I mean, I literally don't know. Is the governor just incompetent? He can't get his own people to do what he wants, or is he lying? I'm not excluding the possibility that both are true.
Yeah, they're both probably true. But he said he's for the plant, but he knows his 4 appointees will do his bidding of this sort of nihilism.
I mean, what happens is he asks the Sierra Club, George Soros, NRDC, the unions, who he should appoint to these things, and they tell him. And the result is that basically society is just grinding to a halt because these are all organizations that have an interest in maintaining this anti-growth status quo.
The notion that California is so regulated is so flies in the face of what California always was. And as I always say, Carroll Shelby moved to Venice Beach from Texas so he could build cars, so he had the freedom to do. He wanted the freedom, so he moved. Now, you could imagine X amount of years later, Elon Musk moves to Texas so he can have the freedom. That's just a metaphor for what happened to us. We got so overregulated. No one ever really, we always talk about taxes and we talk about homelessness, we talk about water, and we're overregulated. We're so regulated by these assholes who just sit and make rules all day but never really experience those rules that we can't progress, we can't build, we can't innovate, we can't do all this stuff. We chase out business. So much of it's insidious. If you ever talk to any experts about, what goes on in these third world nations, and they always talk about, violence and rape and crime and stuff. It's all grift. What ruins them is grift. Everyone needs to get paid, and they can no longer move forward. Well, what the fuck do you think regulation is? It's just grift. It's the same as living in a third world nation. Like, I don't have enough money to pay everyone to get every permit, to ask, to wait for the time period for the Coastal Commission to approve the whatever. We just don't have. It's grift. It's regulated. It's official grift that California does that stifles all the shit we're talking about, and they got to back off it, and they won't.
There's a solution to it, which is ultimately, and the hardest one is housing, because nobody wants more housing in their own neighborhood. And so you're in a prisoner's dilemma where everybody's like, well, put more housing in your neighborhood, man, not in mine. So the solution, we know what to do, which is that you have to have societal consensus. The way you build societal consensus I'm proposing is through what we call citizens' juries. They've done this in different countries, but basically you get several hundred citizens, you impanel representative random selection of them. They do town hall meetings, let's say in 12 cities over 12 months and I think the issues are housing, energy and water, and education. They then do that. They come back to the legislature. You do this for 2023. You come back to the legislature January 2024 with this. It's not like a blue ribbon commission. It's a people's commission that represents the public, what the public wants. But from people that have spent some time really looking at it and debating it and meeting with experts on all sides, they come back to the legislature. The legislature can pass that legislation. And if they don't, then the governor in his role can help get that on the ballot. And this may happen already on education. So we have greater school choice so parents can choose where their kids go to school. That may be on the ballot in 2024. I think as governor, I'll have a mandate to certainly keep our nuclear plant open and build enough plants to keep us going. But I'm going to need that consensus to build desalination facilities, water recycling facilities. And the big one is on housing. If we get the agreement among the society that we're all going to add more housing to our neighborhoods. You're going to have more housing in the cities, and you're going to have more suburbs on ranch and farmlands, of which there's plenty. Anybody that flies over California as often as I do, you see there's plenty of land, actually.
Yes.
And then the governor, first of all, can waive a lot of the regulations. I mentioned that we do that when you want to get a stadium built, they waive the CEQA regulations. You can waive the regulations, but you can get the legislation or you do a ballot initiative. That's the kind of leadership that we're going to need. At the end of the day, if the people of California want to live in the catastrophe that we've created, then that's what's going to happen. The only way out of it is if you actually build this consensus, which I think exists. I think we can get somewhere between 70 to 80% support for most of what I'm talking about: energy abundance, water abundance, housing abundance, high-performing schools where parents have choice, and an end to the homeless encampments. I think that is an agenda that has broad support.
Who in their right mind wouldn't support that?
Yeah, it sounds like a utopia.
Well, I don't have all the votes in yet, so we'll see. It's Shellenbergerforgovernor.com, by the way, if people want to go and check it out.
All right, let me hit a spot, and then we'll roll into some quick news. Freshly. You want to take the stress out of cooking? Freshly. Quality meals without the hard work, designed by nutritionists, cooked by chefs, delivered fresh, ready to eat in just 3 minutes at the end of a long day. Takeout shouldn't be your only option. They have so many healthy meals that you can peruse on their website. It's hard to pick a favorite. Use the Freshly website or the app. Find the meals that fit your lifestyle, dietary needs, taste, and family size. Choose from over 50 nutritionist-designed entrees. New meals added weekly, and you can skip the grocery store and the dirty dishes and get in with Freshly. Right, Dawson?
Stop stressing about dinner. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $125 off your first 5 orders when you go to freshly.com/ACS. That's $125 off at freshly.com/ACS.
All right, quick break. Back with some fast news right after this.
All right, let's do some fast news. Let's talk Harvey Weinstein. He won't be getting out of prison anytime soon. His bid to overturn his rape conviction has been dismissed. The disgraced producer argued that the trial judge made procedural missteps and favored the prosecution. But according to The Hollywood Reporter, a 5-justice appellate panel of the New York Supreme Court in a unanimous decision backed the trial judge's ruling. A spokesman for Weinstein said, "We're disappointed, but we're not surprised." He was, of course, convicted in 2020 on 2 of 5 charges of committing
Is he in California now, or is he back in New York? Well,
good question.
Gavin's going to let him out.
Well, because he was sentenced to 23 years in New York.
And then he came out here, and then I thought he was going to get out. Either way, listen,
He'll be up for parole in 2040.
I'm not rooting for the man.
Be 111 years old.
But I told Mark Garagos when the shit was going down, gas up the jet and head to some place we didn't have an extradition treaty with. And he said, nah.
Roman, baby, I'm coming over.
He said, I cannot recommend that. And I said, I would, because I don't think this is going to turn out good for him.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we can go to France anymore.
Oh, really?
I think they may have tweaked it. But
Good.
there are other places you could go.
Less desirable locations?
Yeah, but you'd have your freedom.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jada Pinkett has finally, and I love using this phrase.
Well, can I say this? With the whole Roman Polanski thing, the guy's a poster child for fleeing extradition, right?
Yes.
I mean, you'll just go to France and you'll go to Paris and be the toast of the town for the next 57 years.
You're going to come.
We'll send you your Oscar in the mail. you can stay in your chateau.
Yeah.
It's amazing that more people don't do it.
Yeah.
Cosby never did it. Weinstein never did. There's a lot of these guys are rich guys who have jets that'll make it out off this continent for 2 days notice. They don't do it. I think it's a hubris. I think they think they're going to win.
They're better and bigger than the law. Mm-hmm. Let's talk Jada Pinkett, who has broken her silence. She's directly addressed the Oscar slap for the first time.
In this case, I think it counts.
I do too. And it is chef's kiss. It tracks perfectly with what you think she's going to say. This was, of course, an episode of Red Table Talk. She spoke about alopecia and hair loss and all this stuff. So, of course, we know that's why Chris Rock got slapped.
It's hard for women, and especially women under 123 pounds, to be blowhards.
Yeah.
But she's a rare exception.
She succeeds admirably.
She is a tremendous blowhard, even though she doesn't have the stature or the gender to pull it off like a lot of people could. But she is.
She's good. Mm-hmm. So this is what she had to say about her husband slapping Chris Rock.
About Oscar night, my deepest hope is that these two intelligent, capable men have an opportunity to heal, talk this out, and reconcile. The state of the world today, we need them both. And we all actually need one another more than ever. Until then, Will and I are continuing to do what we have done for the last 28 years.
Swing, baby.
And let's keep figuring out this thing called life together. Thank you for listening.
I don't like the New World Order where your dog shits on my lawn and then you have the town hall where like everybody's...
We got to heal.
You're not getting. We got to come together. We got you got to fucking bag your dog shit.
Yeah.
You shit on my lawn. This is not an equal thing where we're going to come together. One person
have a dialogue about dog shit.
One person was hosting. The other person assaulted them.
Yeah.
That'd be the guy you're married to.
And screamed at him.
So now I know it takes a village, but now it's time for you to go. I think maybe my husband's a little out of line.
Well, guess who agrees with you? Vivica A. Fox.
Uh-oh.
She and Carson Kressley, fashionista Carson Kressley.
Strange combo.
They're co-hosting Wendy Williams together because they're doing like different co-hosts every week.
Okay.
And she knows both of them. She did movies with both of them. Independence Day with Will and something I can't remember.
You know what? I got to go gay.
Girls Trip?
No, Set It Off.
Is that racist?
Set It Off.
I think if you go gay, no one can ever really accuse your career falling apart.
Oh, more you know.
Because...
Wait, that's not true. Amber Heard's with a lady.
Oh, not that kind of gay.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking good gay.
Oh, okay.
Not fun gay.
I see.
I'm saying...
Sincere gay.
I would go, geez, I haven't heard from this guy in a million years. What the hell is he up to? But if you're gay, you go, oh, no. He's huge in the whatever. You get to say... It's like a band that plays soccer stadiums in Argentina. I've never even heard of those guys. Oh, they're huge.
Get on their radar.
So you go gay, no one can ever really figure out if the career's bottomed out or not, part of the pun.
Right.
Yeah, because here he is hosting Wendy Williams' show.
Happy as a clam.
That's right.
So Vivica basically says that, well, she did say that Jada's acting self-righteously, which I think a lot of people agree with. And here is her sort of explaining that.
I felt to be a good partner, there was no accountability. Will Smith was defending her honor. That was the reason he walked on stage and slapped.
Oh, I gotta get long nails.
Because he felt like his wife had been
punctuate
offended.
everything on loose
So for me to
items.
see no accountability
nails.
as a partner. Also, let's not forget that Chris Rock was assaulted.
What is happening?
We cannot forget that.
She's stately.
That's my move. Tap my acrylic nails.
For basically telling a joke that I really felt wasn't that bad.
Yeah. And then when she gives a long speech, and when she asks Carson what he thinks, he goes off on Jada Pinkett Smith's white turtleneck. I thought it was too chunky in the neck. It was perfect.
Good.
I got to get the acrylic nails, to, again, punctuate the
Yes,
points with
yes.
the tapping. Also, an allotment
Jingle.
of bracelets,
Jingly
too, when I'm
bangles.
making a
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
making that bangly sound.
Oh, and one more thing you have to do that wasn't in the clip because there was a lot of stuff in between it. She starts to get emotional and quietly to herself says, "Come on, Viv."
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I was
She
gonna do
steadied
that.
herself.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, I don't do Viv, though. I
You
say
say
my name.
Adam.
You shouldn't say.
You say Adam.
Okay, got it.
Come on, Adam. You got this.
You got it.
Will there
do
be
this.
debates,
Got it.
Michael, for the the gubernatorial race?
Not before Tuesday, but if I make it, so it's a top 2 vote getters. If we get past Tuesday, then I think the governor will have to debate me at least
Nice.
once.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count on him doing anything that sounds logical or reasonable. I wouldn't trust that guy as far as I could throw him. You really think he's going to debate you or anyone?
Well, he has to usually. That's their MO is that they do one debate.
Okay.
So
I'll
That
look
would be
forward
awesome.
to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Yeah, you'll enjoy debating him.
Just you say one logical thing, and all of a sudden, like his ears start steaming like a
Sparks,
robot. Yeah, shutting down. Do we have time for one more? I've been dying to get to this for a while. This is for Dawson, and I know we have a picture of this somewhere. Burrito lovers, we all have the same problem.
Saw
We've all
this.
seen this now. This is your platform.
Yeah, put this on
Michael, I
your
feel like this is
campaign.
strong.
All right.
The problem with a burrito is it comes undone while you're eating it. How are you supposed to enjoy your delicious burrito? Well, a group of heroes, engineering students at Johns Hopkins University have created an edible tape they call Tasty Tape, which can be used to keep a burrito from falling while you're eating it. The students say they were inspired by their own experience eating burritos.
Amateurs.
They use their knowledge of chemistry and biomolecular science to figure out how to make this adhesive tape that can be eaten. It doesn't look super appetizing. Yeah, you had the picture. It kind of looks like mold, but I think it's more like seaweed.
Let me point out, actually, I saw this and I saw the caption. It says it is color blue for the picture.
Oh,
the
good.
tape itself is like
Yeah,
whatever.
not an appetizing color, but the students are applying for a patent, so they obviously can't tell us exactly how they did it and what it's made from, but they insist every ingredient is safe to consume.
They did it. Blue's the standard color, like
It shouldn't be.
for like maxi pad commercials.
That's true.
Yeah, the liquid.
Blue and purple.
They always. Yeah,
if that was
I
coming
don't-
out of you, see a doctor immediately.
Yeah, I don't know. I like where their heads
You're
at.
looking radiator fluid.
I think there's going to be this won't live in just the realm of the burrito for any real length of time. It probably has a sexual application as well.
Yeah.
There's going to be some taping of the concubine and then some
Edible.
eating of the tape off of the. There's going to be
Yeah.
some.
Yeah.
It's going to make its way into the porn
And
world.
what's wrong
soon.
with that?
Nothing. I don't have I mean, Dawson, you eat 28 burritos a week.
Yeah, I remember my first burrito.
You don't need this tape.
No, seriously.
You figured
That's what the
that.
foil is for. And also you have hands.
Wow.
Well, we're
You
not
just
all
hold
experts.
it together. It's a burrito.
Now, where do you come down on a roach clip? Same
I don't use it.
audience? That's what
I
I'm
use
saying.
it,
Not
yeah.
with the burrito.
But
I'm
if
just
you,
saying.
if you don't have nails, what are you supposed to do?
It's amateur hour. Seeing the roach clip or the tape on the burrito, it's
what
amateur
the roach
hour.
crib speaks to is that you are very, very poor. And you don't have a lot of pot.
So
Yeah.
not a lot of
And
time
you can
for
use
those
2
people.
keys for that too. I mean, anyone who just goes out and gets a roach clip.
Now, what about the chopsticks with the rubber band thing in
No.
between them? More amateur hour for you, Dawson?
I don't know.
You
how
don't
to
even,
use
you
those.
don't even
Those hands
recognize
first.
those people. So this is basically, it's the training wheels
Yeah, it's a training
for
wheels.
burrito
Yeah.
I live a
eaters.
burrito-centric life, and this is totally unnecessary.
Michael, can Dawson be your burritos are?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as I'm giving away appointments at this point, yeah, why not?
Let's build some
Traffic,
dams, Michael.
burrito over there.
Water storage.
John, he just talked me into it.
All right, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Fuck it, I hate this country.
Gina.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, you can go help out Michael's campaign by going to his website, Shellenberger4governor.com, and shoot him a tweet as well at Shellenberger MD. Oh, Godspeed is all I have to say, but I'm scared of the folks who vote in this state. Kevin LaRosa, well, Top Gun, you heard of that one? Go on,
see it. Go see it again.
See it again. And you can shoot him on Instagram at K2_LaRosa. You can go to AdamCarolla.com. Live shows coming up everywhere. Denver, Colorado, coming up the end of June. Sonny will be with me. You can pre-order my book as well at AdamCarolla.com. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Kevin LaRosa, Michael Shellenberger, Gina Grad, and Bryan saying mahalo.
It's late at night. You should be tired, but you're shaking uncontrollably.
That's awesome.
Oh, Huel.
Can I buy you guys at least one drink just to celebrate?
This is a smart cocktail.
Just put some on his finger, just a little on your lips.